Heroes in Crisis was a bad comic. A really bad comic. I covered it in the last video. It's easily up there in the top 5 worst comics ever made. You know, it's with Convergence, One More Day, All-Star Batman and Robin. All pretty terrible comics, but to me at least, not the worst. So, Elk, you may be asking, what is the worst comic ever made to you? Well, today I'm going to cover that comic. In this video, I am covering Brian Michael Bendis' Superman. How's it going, everybody? I'm jor-el Comics, and welcome to another episode of Closer Look, where I take, go figure, a closer look at comics, TV shows, and movies. As you know, I am covering Brian Michael Bendis' Superman, and Bendis' issue count on Supes means I have to do this whole Bendis saga as CJF has named it. Unlike the last video, CJF won't be joining me, so I'm going to be covering this by myself. As you probably know by now, I have a personal hatred for this run. You see, the first comic series I ever kept up with was Superman Rebirth by Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason, and Bendis completely destroyed everything Tomasi and Gleason did in that run. So I'm gonna be biased. But I will point out plot holes, out-of-character moments, bad dialogue, etc. But who knows? This comic actually may be great. I haven't read it in a few years, so let's figure it out. For new viewers of the series, I'm going to point out what I do around here. I will give a brief summary of the issue. Throughout the summary, I critique moments in the comic, and I may like things, I may dislike things, but I'll be pretty clear if I like or dislike the comic overall. So with all of that out of the way, now I guess I have to continue to the comic. Okay, issue 1. Oh god, it's already starting off bad. This isn't gonna be good. We get this insane word dump. Still going, still going, still going, still going, and good. Guess who's speaking here? Rogol Zar. Yeah, that wasn't me messing up order or anything. That's actually his name. And the TLDR of this exposition dump Bendis loves to use in his comics is Krypton is a disease and needs to be eliminated. So what Bendis here is strongly hinting at is Krypton didn't destroy itself. This 90s looking mofo did it. We're going to talk about this moment when it is directly brought up. So first I want to talk about Rogol Zar's design. Like, what is this? He literally looks like Rob Liefeld designed him. I'm surprised he doesn't have pouches and guns attached to him. So the next pages we see Superman doing Superman stuff. And I gotta say, all of this is pretty good. Superman seems in character, which is a good change of pace from Hick, where not a single character was acting like themselves. This book is fine for now, but as we go on, it derails and is actually worse than Hick. You'll see what I mean in this video and in the next parts. So one of the Guardians talks to Rogol Zar. I'm gonna have to used to saying that. He tells him that Krypton will rise and fall on its own and you shouldn't destroy it. Okay, slowly building this to this big reveal that we're gonna get. As we see this big and real badass we're supposed to believe just alone in the cave, Bendis really needs to develop this character more. He's only spoken exposition. Let's see these guys' character traits. He hates Krypton and he's some sort of warrior. That's all we know. He could develop the character more as we go on, which is always a good thing, but if he doesn't, then that means his character isn't developed enough, which can lead to the character not being cared about. Bendis, this is a new character, so you need to develop him in some way other than wanting him to kill Krypton. Next, we move on to a scene with John and Lois, mentioning and showing those key characters for the first time. And for some reason, John is just off. I don't know, to me, he just talks differently from the way he did in Tomasi's Superman. Also, Lois is talking about the story she's doing. It sounds like a throwaway line. Well, it is. But I mean, what I mean is the line just shows something about how Bendis writes Lois Lane. Just keep that in the back of your mind. We'll come back to it. So we get this strange white light and we are left in a cliffhanger. This is fine so far. There are a few flaws here and there are possible very big flaws that are coming in the future, but it's too soon to call them since this is only the first issue. Now, this segment here is something I didn't do in the last video. We are going to go over each of the main characters in this comic and go over everything we learn in the story. Let's start with the character of Superman. What do we know about him? He's compassionate, he saves people no matter what, he cares for the people of Earth, he's human at heart, he stands for truth, justice, and the American way. Now on that last part, I want to explain what that actually means because a lot of people have misconceptions about the American way. The American way really means to me the ideals of Ma and Pa Kent taught him, the ideals that all men and women have free will, the ideals of tolerance, the ideals of compassion. Superman would risk his life and even die for a person that he's never met. That's who the character is, and Superman should be that. Now, Superman is definitely in character here. He's saving people at no cost and being hopeful and compassionate as he does it. We already went over who Rogol Zaar is. All we know so far is he hates Krypton because he believes they are a disease that needs to be eliminated. Also, he's a warrior. That's all we know so far. Now, it's fine that we don't know anything much right now, but by the end of the arc, we should get to know the character more. And if we don't, we get a poorly developed character, meaning a bad villain, leading to a bad story. Speaking of, let's talk about what we know in the story and what we should find out. Rogol Zaar and Krypton play a big part in this story. Something is probably going to happen with Rogol Zaar and Krypton. Maybe he destroys it. Well, we'll see. What does this arson plot have to do with the rest of the story? We don't know yet. Maybe it's a throwaway story just to introduce Superman. This whole plot takes up half of the comic. Did we introduce the character? Yes, but all this information we get about the other plot might just not matter. It might just be filler. You don't want filler. This will incredibly enrage people. When you write a story, everything you should include should matter in some way. If we get pages of information about this arson plot that doesn't even matter, that's filler, and I see filler as bad writing. You don't have enough story, so you take up something else that fits into the 22-page count. So overall, this book is fine, and at best I can say for now. We need to see how the plot develops a lot more for it to be good. Let's move on to the second issue. We open issue 2 with Krypton blowing up and Rogol Zaar is nowhere to be found. It's becoming more and more obvious now that Rogol Zaar indeed did have some connection to the destruction of Krypton. Whatever, I will give my thoughts when it is directly revealed. I assure you that. We see Superman battling and then taking down a giant robot that is the Toyman's. Also, look at this terrible dialogue. Bendis does goofy stuff like this a lot. A lot of the time, characters are just saying funny things, but guess what, Bendis? They aren't funny. It's manageable for now, but oh boy, does it get worse later in the run. Anyway, Hal shows out to help him, and really the reason he's actually here is because he believes something is wrong. Superman didn't show up to the jail meeting, which I guess he always does, so that is an understandable reason to try and find him. Also, this fight doesn't matter, because it's still fine because this still has some sort of connection to the plot. So now, we pick up where the issue left off, with this weird-looking thing showing up and throwing Superman into the moon or something. Yeah, I'm asking the same question as you. Then we see Rogol Zaar in a bar continuing to talk about Krypton, which is his only character trait, by the way. Yeah, that was literally the only reason he was created. Also, Rogol Zaar notices this necklace thing that is on this display case, right? Or whatever. So, if it is from Krypton, apparently from a person called Superman. Huh. How convenient, really, that's so convenient that Rogol Zaar, on this day of all days, would decide to go to this bar and run into this thing to push the plot forward to develop the events of the story. This is an extremely, extremely terrible flaw, okay? You cannot have this happen in a comic book. This pushes the events forward. Him seeing this amulet or the shield thing, what if this wasn't here that day? The plot would not happen. And that's terrible, terrible writing. So Superman stops another arson plot and then rushes to Perry White's office to tell him about the story on the Toyman. When Clark walks in, Perry is big sad and says the company is going under. Now, I like this idea. The Daily Planet is struggling with the news and so what? Okay, that's a pretty good idea. But then this character walks in and I hate her. She talks way too much. And all she's saying right now is exposition. This isn't a character. This is a way for Bendis to develop a plot. Walking plot device right here. Kind of like racist Doomsday or whatever the hell his name is. Anyway, Clark zooms off and Perry says he knows there is a story out there that's gonna save the company. Then cutting back to Rogol-Zar, ending the issue. So looking back on the questions we asked, the arson plot doesn't develop in any way. All we know is there was another fire. What connection do Rogol-Zar and Krypton have? No connection from what we know so far. But what we do know is Rogol-Zar may have destroyed Krypton. Motives? Still don't know. What did this issue actually do to develop the plot? Not much, as you can see, so really, most of this issue is actually filler, so not a really great issue. Okay, done with issue 2, so let's move on. We open issue 3 with Rogol-Zar landing on Earth. Wanna know how he got here? Well, Bendis sure can't help. You're just left to assume he knows the directions to Earth. Maybe there's like a space GPS or something. Maybe he MapQuested it. Do any of you actually know what MapQuest is? Oh, never mind. So Rogol-Zar goes to the Fortress of Solitude, miraculously landing at the fortress, but runs into Kellogg's. But don't worry, because Superman has the worst security system in the world. You'd think you want to have better security system for literally your only resemblance of your homeworld. We cut back to this arson plot again. And Batman's here. Because sure, he already has 50 books, why can't he have another? Where are we? Oh yeah, Clark finds a way to find the Fortress of Solitude completely destroyed, and Clark is devastated by this. And yes, this is in character. This hurts Superman so much that he breaks down and cries. That's the one thing I will say good about Bendis' writing. At least he understands the character. So he and Kara go off to find who did this. And guys, once you know what he looks like, he won't be hard to find. Because he literally looks like this. We cut to the scene from the first issue. He actually wasn't thrown into the moon. No, so in this is actually somebody in this ship. Oh boy, just wait for the next issue. Man, is it gonna suck. So Clark is tracking down the person who did this and is hit with an explosion from the man, the myth, the legend himself, Rogol-Zar. That ends issue 3. Looking back on the questions we ask now, what does the arson plot have to do with anything? Well, absolutely nothing. And we haven't learned a damn thing about it. I feel the only reason it's here is for page filler. What connection do Rogol-Zar and Krypton have? Well, we know he destroyed Krypton, but we don't know why. Yes, they are a disease, Rogol, we get it. But what does he exactly not like about them? Did we learn any new character traits? Nope. So I'm just going to express my disliking on the fact that Rogol-Zar did kill Krypton here. The whole point of Krypton being destroyed is a warning that what we shouldn't do. And when you take that away, you take away the whole lesson of Krypton. It just bugs me. So this issue did something for a plot at least, and Superman is in character, but damn is Rogol-Zar holding this book back. So let's cover issue 4 and be ready. Oh boy, does it get much worse from here. So issue 4 opens with all hell breaking loose. Superman decides to keep the battle in Metropolis. Yeah, real smart there, man. At least he's trying to save people. Unlike a certain movie, Bendis! We're met with this dreaded scene that I really hoped not to cover. We get the cliffhanger from issue 1 again. But this time the scene continues even more, this time revealing Jor-el, the birth father of Clark. Now let me explain how this scene is incredibly stupid. In the New 52 and DC Rebirth, there was a Superman villain by the name of Mr. Oz. He is this very mysterious character and he creeps in the shadows for a few years. Then legendary Superman writer and artist Dan Jurgens, who was writing Action Comics at the time, wrote a story called The Oz Effect, revealing Mr. Oz was actually Jor-el the whole time. Really good story, you should check it out. My point is, Jor-el was vaporized by Dr. Manhattan at the end of the story. So how the hell is he here? He should not exist because he was erased from the DC universe after the events of the Oz Effect. Almost seems like Bendis didn't do his homework. Also, this scene has some absolutely horrendous dialogue. Just take a look for yourself. I could tell you were his father. He doesn't know how to knock either. I forget. Do I call him Grandpa? Which boy? This boy? Me boy? Yeah, it sucks. Oh, and don't think we're done with the terrible dialogue. Green Lantern asks what happened here, and some crazy person goes on and then she says she's not crazy. Then Bendis thought it would be a good idea to have this woman be turned on by Superman wearing red shorts again. I swear these jokes are worse than a Whedon movie. So we get the confirmation that Rogol-Zar did in fact destroy Krypton. I already gave my thoughts on this. Boy, do I hate it. Skipping the terrible dialogue, Superman flies to the fortress for Rogol-Zar to sneak out of the shadows. Then they have a conversation, and it leads to Rogol asking if Superman has children. Then Superman blows him up, or there is some sort of explosion after Superman heats up like this. So, I'm incredibly confused. What it looks like to me is Superman uses his solar flare power to blow him up, which better not be what it is because 1, he would be completely powerless after this, and 2, does he even have that power? I know the New 52 Superman and Superman Rebirth, like the post-crisis Superman, merged and New 52 Superman had that power, so I guess he does, but wouldn't he still be affected as much by this? I really wish we got an explanation for what is actually happening because it is just not mentioned again. Bendis, can you please explain what the hell is going on in your comic? That ends issue 4. Yikes. Let's move on to the questions. Nothing happens with the arson plot. Huh, who'da thunk? Oh look, we got confirmation that Rogol-Zar did destroy Krypton. Yet we have no clue how, and no clue why. That has to do with the poor development of Rogol's character. We literally know nothing about him. Bendis developed this character more for Christ's sake. How do you expect people to care or fear a character that we literally know nothing about? Look, you can hide things about a character. You don't need to reveal their origin. Take the Joker from Chris Nolan's The Dark Knight. Not knowing things about an antagonist can add tension and make the character more scary. But their actions should at least who the character is. Everything Rogol-Zar does is against Krypton. That's all he does. That's not a good character. He is the definition of a plot device, and that's the only thing he is. Let's move on. And this issue is also incredibly bad. We see Superman lifting up Rogol-Zar like he's a giant racist space baby and needs to put him into his high chair. Superman just gets jacked in the face flying into the moon. Ah, that's what that scene came from. Bendis, I think you need to lay out your comic better, because I have no clue what the hell is going on. So this scene is basically Rogol kicking Superman's ass, because we need to make this Superman villain the biggest and baddest villain he's ever faced. It's been done so many times before with varying results. But don't think we're done with characters like this. This is Bendis' favorite type of villain. All characterless plot devices. So we cut back to this horribly paced scene. Okay, you know what? Bendis, fix your shit. Because Bendis doesn't know how to tease things. Showing us random shit that's gonna happen later isn't a tease. And if you do that, you shouldn't just randomly put it in a random spot in your comic. And what is going on with this scene with Jor-el, and why does it take 6 damn issues for a max 10-page story to resolve? It's really annoying. So, Jor-el, the character that shouldn't exist because Bendis can't read, asks John to go with him on an epic adventure because he's struggling. Alright, I'm needed. So he wants to take John on an epic adventure through the galaxy, showing him truths and history. Clark and Lois obviously don't agree with this, but what I find confusing is John. He just wants to do this, letting you know he barely knows this person. I don't know. When I was younger, if some random grandfather that I've only met once, I saw him not get along with my father, and then he asked me to go on an adventure even though my parents say not to, I don't think I'd do it. But hey, what do I know? Bendis is a big brain writer and I'm just a comic book YouTuber. Anyway, John will supposedly go with him, but we have to wait for the next issue to see what happens. Spoiler alert, it sucks. So the firefighter lady is trying to find a pattern in the fires when it's interrupted by another fire. I swear Bendis is just teasing me now. So Supergirl saves people, and the firefighter lady says that they don't know where Clark went. But don't worry, because the Justice League is on the case. Because they just knew this chat was gonna happen. So Kara looks for Clark, finds him, and brings him to the Hall of Justice. After he gets healed a little bit, Kara and Clark share a touching moment. Quite sweet, actually. So the League is talking about how Rolgal's only motive is he wants to cleanse Kryptonians. Don't get me started on that again. So Batman is then like, he might destroy this planet too, to cleanse the Kryptonians. I don't know who Batman knew this, but like, whatever. Superman flies away into the center of the Earth, seeing Rolgal there ready to do something to the core. So I guess that's what he did there on Krypton. He was just screwing around with the core. How uninteresting. Bendis just really wants to take such an interesting concept away, doesn't he? So the questions. Nothing on the arson plot was revealed, which isn't a shock at all. He keeps teasing us, and then I feel it's just going to continue in another book he's doing later, for setup or whatever. We pretty much learn how Rolgal destroyed Krypton, but he just wants to cleanse them. Doesn't go any deeper than that. Fucking Doomsday had better development than this guy, which serves the same reason of being there. He's just a plot device, but at least he has an interesting backstory and the excuse that he's just a killing machine. Rolgal doesn't have that. Okay, final issue. Thank God it's almost over. Oh, we're here. The conclusion. Oh, great, we're opening with the Jor-el scene. You know what? I don't really have anything bad to say about this moment in this scene. John gets some character development, and it seems Bendis did his homework. John is talking about the Super Sons of Tomorrow story. We get a sweet moment with Clark and John. Okay, I'm in a good mood. Oh, wait, there's Jor-el. Never mind. So John really is upset that the Teen Titans rejected him, asking if there's something wrong with him. They both care for John. Okay, character development, something I thought Bendis was incapable of doing. Okay, again, this part is fine, I like it. I'm then reminded why I hate this comic book. Superman asks what this tech is, and Rolgal replies with, "What, bro?" So then Superman and Rolgal have a Twitter argument that leads to Superman throwing Rolgal back. Clark takes this device up into space, like saying he always has to be a few steps ahead of Rolgal. Holy crap, I can't say his name, to win. So we are at the Jor-el scene again. Jor-el says there will be a solution. He's going to give John perspective, travel, and experience. Then Jor-el says to Lois, "You can come with me." To where Lois is thrilled. Says she's going to write a book about this. I'm sorry, what now? She cares for like 5 seconds, then when Bendis needs her to want to do something, she does. I'm sorry. You know how crazy this guy is, right? He's only experienced years of torture that made him the way he is. Yeah, he's all there. Let's let my 11-year-old son travel with this crazy space grandpa and then write a story about it. Fucking hell. So Superman sends this device off but runs into Rogol. They fight, but Supergirl catches him and just putting him into the Phantom Zone. So Clark is okay with the jor-el thing, and Rogol is chilling in the Phantom Zone. Finally, things are being wrapped up. Kara and Clark talk about Rogol Zar, and then they send these ship things off, remembering Kandor. Okay, a sweet moment. Clark says goodbye to John and Lois, going off on the adventure with a psychopath. Clark goes to John's room holding one of his toys, looking to be thinking about things. So we get a cliffhanger for Action Comics and Superman, with the arson plot probably continuing. Finally, we're finished. It seems the arson plot didn't develop, and we didn't learn a goddamn thing about Rogol Zar. Just wonderful. Not a great story. Somewhat and just barely a good ending. But no issue was good, and no issue came even close to that. What issue was the worst? Well, it really goes to the shitter issue after issue 4. And you think this was bad? It was! But it only gets worse from here. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. If you did enjoy, and you obviously did because you watched till the end, like the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified whenever the next video drops. Speaking of, I have something festive for the occasion, so follow me on Twitter for updates on that, linked below. I do talk about comics sometimes, or basically every day on Twitter too, so if you'd like to see me on a daily basis, give me a follow. I have a Patreon, support it and be like Mirror. He gets a shout out in every video, plus exclusive content, early access, and so much more. Info is all in the link below, so support me if you'd like. So, that's going to be it for today. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you all on the next one. Goodbye.